called me all upset, not having a clue what to do, so I've been looking around taking care of that. So I'm a few minutes late. I apologize. Very.
Oh, so sorry.
So,
I don't even know words for that. I'm sorry.
I know. Well, I appreciate that. I just am apologetic that I'm a couple of minutes late.
Right. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're more than welcome. All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Steve DeLaRoche. I'm the Special Magistrate for the City of Daytona Beach Shores. We're here for code enforcement hearings. The way the hearings work is the city has the burden of proof. They will present the case against you. After the city is done with each of their witnesses, including their main witness, Ms. Herstein, it is your opportunity to ask that witness questions. After the city is done with its presentation, I will give you a chance to either testify yourself or call any witnesses you want. And then I will render a decision. If you agree with what the city has to say and you'd just like to present mitigation, or you'd like to have additional time or something, please tell me at the beginning of the hearing so we don't spend a half an hour proving something that we all agree on. If at any chance, or if at any time during each of your own hearings you have a question, please raise your hand and I'm more than happy to answer it. The most important thing is that everybody understands what's going on, because we're not here to be punitive, we're here to try to fix the problem. So before we begin with our regularly scheduled hearings, there's a Mr. Rahid here. Yes. And Hayat, Rahid Hayat. And I have your address at 2008 South Atlantic Avenue.
Sure.
And you were here last month, correct?
Correct.
And I asked for an update on your project.
Yes.
All right, could you please come forward? I'd like to hear the update, please.
Sure. Can
You can both come. Good morning.
Good morning.
And sir, I'm sorry, I don't remember your name.
Bill Bethune. I'm a builder.
Right, okay. So gentlemen, how goes it after 30 days?
The roof is done. We replaced the roof, brand new.
Okay,
Pretty much everything they gave us on the list is almost done. The only thing is we're waiting on a building permit. We have a list with few things to do, but they're not issuing the building permit because they want us to explain how we're gonna do every single thing.
okay,
With all the respect to all of you, but I mean, this is the list, what needs to be done.
right.
So to me, this is a list of stuff to be done. But they're not giving me a permit because they want me to explain how I'm gonna do every single thing. Just,
Okay, and is anything they're asking you to do require any special trick or unusual circumstance?
no, but Bill, everything is, what's left to do on,
A plumber has gone in there and done, we've taken this list. The only thing that's not done on this list, and since somebody drove into the front of the building and broke the glass on.
Since you last saw me?
just 3 days ago, somebody drove their
Oh.
car into the building and
Jumped
broke
the-
the whole
jumped the curb and
glass
broke the
and the
glass
whole
out of it.
frame in the front.
Oh, I'm so
They
sorry.
did some work on us, yeah.
So that's already been boarded up, and we're in the process of getting them to replace that glass,
Okay,
the framework there. The only thing out of this whole list that I got there about a week ago was the sign on the front of the building. It's got a piece of plywood in it that's right. I'm working on getting a piece of plastic put in that sign so that it looks proper.
okay, great.
Everything else, the plumbing, the electrical, had the contractors in there and pulling permits and doing all that.
Okay, what's the big item that was referred to that they will not give you a permit for?
They gave the roofer a permit. The roofer did put a whole new roof on it. Had the electrical in there, had a plumber in there. So they've all gotten permits and done what they're supposed to do off of the list. So like I said, the only thing that was off this list that I see was the plywood and the sign on the front of the building.
Okay,
And I'm in the process of getting that fixed and done.
all right, well, excellent. I appreciate you guys making progress on that.
Yeah,
Ms. Hurstein, when are they scheduled to come back?
Your Honor, they will come back for a second compliance hearing as soon as the property is compliant.
Okay. All right. Well, this went a long way, like I said, to making sure that things are getting done. And I'm not here to be punitive. I'm just here to make sure things get done correctly. So I appreciate the two of you taking time out of your day and giving me an update. And I will certainly remember this when you come back for your second compliance hearing. Do you have any questions of either the city or myself?
No, just the damage that was done to the front of the building now, I guess we're just going to replace the frame and the glass that was in. I just want to find out if the doors are fine, half the glass in the front of the building's fine.
Okay.
The question I had is, can we just replace the frame and the glass that's damaged?
Any opinion? Steve?
It's not involved with this case.
First of all, it doesn't involve this case at all, because it's a separate issue, it's not even part of this, but you will when you go to replace the glass, as it's not just a glass replacement, it's a frame replacement as well. You're probably gonna have to either do a structural component to separate the glass from the rest of it, or you're gonna have to replace the whole storefront system. And it has to be impact glass.
Well, it has to be impact glass.
Yes.
Okay. So are you saying, do we need to replace the whole front of the store or just the part that's damaged?
You're gonna have to do the whole front of the store, because there's no way to take a new impact glass system and tie it to an old system. There is no product approval for that.
Okay.
So you'll have to do the whole thing, or you'll have to come up with some type of structural post or something there to tie the old window to, and then tie your new window to that structural item.
Okay.
It'll have to be impact.
We do have an engineer that's in there. I was with him yesterday, and they're drawing up the supports we put in the front of the building that were one of the bigger issues. And he's drawing that all up and has talked to somebody and communicating and doing what we need to do there, so.
Well, good. It's very unfortunate a car went through the project.
Yeah. One thing I want to understand with you, Gwen, that you said there is a permit needs to be pulled, which is he already submitted that, but we're waiting on the permit to be issued. What is the holdup?
I appreciate the question very much. We cannot issue a permit for, well, first of all, when we got the job description, we were just handed the list of violations. We're just gonna take care of those things. But how are you gonna take care of them? Are you gonna replace the glass for the window surround? Are you just gonna replace the window surround? Because depending on which way you rectify violations, we need different things in order to be able to review the permit application fully and then issue it. So all of these things that have been done, other than the roof and the mechanical work, have been done without issued permits. The structural columns that have been added with no submitted engineering, no permit in place, so we haven't been able to do inspections. So that is in the process. As you know, I was able to talk, and Steve was able to talk to the engineer on Monday. That is in the process of being rectified. But we need to know, not just we're going to fix these things, we need to know, not in intimate detail. If Steve needs intimate detail when he's reviewing, he'll reach out for that. But he needs to know how you're going to address each of the violations. Are you going to replace? Are you going to repair? If you're repairing, with what are you repairing, under what engineering, et cetera. And so we're not trying to make it difficult, and we're not asking you for something that is not required.
Can I just address one thing? Half of the thing on the list, like the building besides the poles that we replaced, like you said, it's danger, which is done. A lot of things on the list that needs to be done inside, it really has nothing to do with being dangerous. The building is vacant. Nobody in the building for 10 years. If we want to rent a building or open a business, then I understand some things need to be done, but a lot of things don't really need to be done since the building is empty.
Right. We've got into it at the initial hearing. I explained the same thing at the first compliance hearing. I'm happy to explain it to you again. We could talk on the phone. You could wait if you wanted to. We could talk after this proceeding. All these folks are on the agenda today. Bottom line is, we're asking for minimum life safety issues for any emergency responders, et cetera, inside the building. We're asking you to remove all the storage that was in there, things like that. It's a very small list that you have, really, but and no, for no water intrusion. You've got a new roof, fantastic, okay? But in order for you to use the building for a business, yes, you're right, there's a much higher threshold that you'll need to meet in order to put a business in there. We're asking you for certain minimum life safety issues.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, sir.
See you at the next hearing. Okay, the next order of business is approval of the minutes, which I understand that only the staff was here, and none of the lay people were here, but is there any objection to the minutes as they were published? All right, hearing no objection, they will be approved as published. What is up there on the screens right now is this morning's agenda. If there is a case that is called and there is no one there to represent the case, I will skip it and take those of you that are here present first, and then afterwards we will attend to the cases where nobody bothered to show up. So you don't have to worry. I'm not going to keep you here all morning if you're the last case and nobody's here for the other cases. All right. First case is post-initial hearings, property owner Christian Adventures International. Is there anybody here representing that? Sir, your name?
George Pigeon.
Okay. All right. George, you have two choices. You can come up and sit in the first seat here so you can hear a little better, or you can stay back there. I will give you a chance to question the city's representative, and I will also give you a chance to present. But it's your choice where you want to sit during their initial presentation.
This is fine.
Okay. All right. Ms. Herstein, could you please raise your right hand and be sworn? You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Okay. And let's see. Here it is. All right. It is property owner Christian Adventures International Incorporated, code case CDEF 2020-02. And looking at the picture, where was it? Timeline. What kind of structure was this?
This was many years ago, before I came, which was 15 years ago. It was like a five and dime type of store.
Okay.
So it's a large footprint, not currently used store. So basically, it's on our vacant building list.
All right. And what would you like to begin by saying?
Thank you, Your Honor. This property is located at 1912 South Atlantic Avenue with parcel number 2316-10-30050. And this is the first compliance hearing for this property. For this case, which began basically at the end of 2019 with a letter about the new certificate of compliance vacant property requirements. Of the 8 violations that were found on the exterior of the building, A through H, E and F have been done. So of the 8, 2 of those were compliant even before we got to the initial hearing. The initial hearing took place January 15th of 2020 after we'd had an extended COVID pause. At that hearing in July, the findings of fact document you can see beginning on 4A12, and that was supplied to the owners. The property owners were given 210 days to rectify the violations. They had plans to move forward with the building to make it usable, and we actually gave them more time than they asked for. The city suggested that they have a bit more than they had asked for because what they were doing was a large project. Basically, along the way, and again, this is an initial hearing, so it's about strictly whether or not the property was compliant by that February 10th, 2021 date. Along the way, property representative George Pigeon has provided regular updates. We've corresponded during the 210 days that I described that they had to become compliant, including about any delays that they faced. On 3 occasions, he's asked about getting an extension granted, and I've explained the first and second compliance hearing methodology and the process. February 10th was the ordered compliance date.
Okay,
I inspected on February 12th and completed an affidavit of non-compliance, which you can see beginning on page 4A17. I'd like to show you pictures of non-compliance, if I may.
all right, please.
Okay, violation A, paint on the building exterior is deteriorated and/or discolored by mildew, dirt, rust, multiple places. The purple is the first time that we went. The orange was before the initial hearing, and then the lower pictures with the red is the re-inspection that I did on February 12th. I'm happy to say that for almost every single one of these pictures, it's significantly been moved forward, even from the February 12th picture. So even though that's not what we're talking about, I do want to say, I hope and expect that we're probably going to be here sooner than later for the second compliance hearing. But in this case, I'm showing you that some of the items still remain undone for violation A.
All right, so the building was or was not painted? It's a little hard for me to tell.
In this case, at the bottom, you can see that some of it had been painted at this point, but there are still areas that are not, or that were not, rather. I'm sorry, or that were not at that point. Violation B, excuse me one second.
Go ahead.
Your Honor, can I ask a question?
Of me or Ms. Herstein?
Oh,
Okay, what would you like to ask?
I just want to say that, and I know Ms. Hersey's not feeling very well. I don't have no argument about any of the building. We're not compliant, so
Okay,
I have no, unless she just wants to go through it and needs to present that, I have no problem saying we were not compliant at that time.
I appreciate that. I've reviewed Ms. Herstein's affidavit, and I'm prepared to accept it into evidence and see what we can do to continue to work this out.
Sure, that's fine. I just was trying to say, if we don't have to go through it, I'd just fall on the sword and say, hey, we did comply, in all fairness. to the city.
Thank you, Mr. Pigeon. I do appreciate that. We're not in any hurry here, but
I'm not either. I'm just trying to be sensitive.
2 + 2 = 4, whether it takes us a minute or 3 hours to work it out, so I appreciate it.
I would like to thank you, first of all.
You need a little more time. Your glasses are all fogged.
I
and
know. I have an annoying cold. I've been tested for COVID. I don't have COVID. Never thought I had COVID. My husband was even tested just to be sure, and it's just that cough stage that has set in, and I apologize to everybody. I thought this would work
It's okay.
smoothly.
You...
Let's keep going if I might.
I have an unopened bottle
No,
of
I've got, thank you so
Why
much.
don't you bring it up with you? All right? I don't get any bonus if I kill a city employee.
I think that depends on the city employee. There might be a bonus for me. I would, if we can backtrack, like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city in the special magistrate's notebook be accepted as evidence along with the slides in the PowerPoint program.
All right. As the representative of the property has already agreed to that, they'll be accepted into evidence.
And I thank them for moving forward. We were just going to look at pictures showing that it was not fully compliant. Basically, the city is requesting an order number 11, finding that the property was not compliant by the February 10th compliance date, and imposing additional administrative fees of $92.43 with an affidavit on page 4A30.
Why is it significantly less than what you usually ask me for? Usually you ask me for about $162.
Significantly less because what we do in the interim between basically with an initial hearing, there are 2 mailings with the findings of fact. there is a single mailing, and it's done by first-class mail as opposed to 2 certified mailings, so that's the substantial part of it. It's also a difference in methodology as to how long a case would take to review, since today we're just looking at whether or not it was compliant by a single date, as opposed to looking at the whole progress of the case. And then at a second compliance, so basically first initial hearing is higher, second compliance hearing is generally lower. It's generally a shorter case presentation and gathering. And then second compliance hearing, as we're looking at anything and everything that happened along the way, that would go back to generally a little bit higher again. Not as much as the initial hearing with the 2 mailings, but back up a little bit.
All right. Mr. Pigeon, the city is asking me to find that you are not in compliance by the date that you were given, impose administrative costs of $92.43, which I'll order within 30 days. And unfortunately, a fine of $250 per day is going to run back from February 12th. And I am not going to do anything about that as far as mitigation until you have come into compliance. Sometimes I will mitigate the per day fine. Sometimes I do not, depending upon what is told to me. Is there anything else you'd like to say? But now is not the time to ask for mitigation against that fine.
I understand, and I'll be prepared next time to do that, so I have no beef with what's been said and what's been presented. I will just say this one thing, the building looks totally different now than it did within about 30 days ago.
Okay?
But outside of that, I have I'll look forward to the next time to have an opportunity to share why we did not become compliant on the 10th.
All right. I appreciate that. Can you pay the $92.43
Yes, Your Honor.
in 30 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, please do so. And that concludes this matter. I'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gwen.
Thank you. Here's a picture of how it's coming along.
Okay.
I am going to reach out to the respondent today. I think there may be a little confusion about one little thing that has not been moved forward, and I read that he indicated it had, so I'm going to reach out to him to say, hey, that's not, the landscape bed is not quite where it needs to be yet. I'll call you this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to look a lot better.
Great. All right. Thank you. Moving on to the next one. Is there anybody here from AD1 Daytona Hotels, LLC?
Yes, me.
You are. And sir, who are you?
I'm Jose Fernandez. I'm representing the company.
Could you say that a little slower? You're who?
I'm Jose Fernandez. I'm representing the company from 81 Global.
All right. All right. There are 2 cases with AD1, CDEF 2020-28 and PCDEF 2020-80. Mr. Fernandez, have you been provided with a packet from the city as to the evidence they intend to present in your case?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Herstein, in looking at these, I see that they are quite different, so we will take them one at a time.
Thank you, Your Honor. As they are on separate parcels,
Right.
it's absolutely appropriate too. This is the first one that we're talking about, the 2306 property, a parcel that is a vacant building, has no approved use for the last 15 years. Shall I proceed, Your Honor?
Please.
Okay, thank you.
You've been previously sworn.
So this property, 81 Daytona Hotels LLC, with case number CDEF 2020-28 and Volusia County parcel ID 5322-0303-0140. Basically, it's, as I said, a vacant building. A notice of violation and a deficiency letter were sent after a June certificate of compliance vacant property inspection was done. You can see the notice of violation and deficiency letter beginning on pages 5A10. There were 5 violations, A through E, and 4 deficiencies, 1 through 4. Good service was achieved on that mailing. While some progress was made, full compliance was not achieved. Good service was achieved for the December meeting, which we did not end up holding, but those notices did begin additional correspondence about the property, which was excellent. More violations were rectified. I inspected both inside and out with the property manager of the 22-23 property on January 21st. And at that time, all violations and issues except for not achieving the certificate of compliance vacant property had been rectified on the outside. And basically for the inside, because they didn't have the emergency lights repaired under an electrical permit, instead they just had them removed without an electrical permit. And also inside the building, a new thing developed, basically some shop lights previously suspended from a crossbeam were now suspended from the ceiling with ropes, and the conduit connecting them were unsecured. So they created another thing that said that we could not give them, it was a life safety issue, that we could not give them a certificate of compliance vacant property.
When was the last time this was inspected?
So I went back. When I left that day, Manager Becky understood what needed to be done, said she needed approval from her owners in order to release the funds to get that electrical permit. They tried to rope the electrical permit in with one that they have open for the 23-23 property, but unfortunately they're separate parcels again, so that can't happen. It just needs to be a new electrical permit, but a rather minimal one. So I gave her some space to do that, and then when I re-inspected, reevaluated in February, seeing that nothing had progressed, I generated a statement of violation, request for hearing, and notice of hearing. Good service was achieved for that mailing. I'd like to show you briefly pictures, if I may.
Sure.
These first issues are showing basically the bottom picture with the purple, the property's compliant. There was a big pile of debris, it became a small pile of debris, and now you can see that that's not there anymore. The open storage slowly was removed. The exterior paint, they actually rectified those issues quite early on. That was the first thing they did. And so leaving us only violation E, which is what we're going to ask you to find them currently in violation of. They have gone longer than 60 days without obtaining the certificate of compliance vacant property. 2 interior deficiencies which were identified for you here. This was one of their deficiencies which they rectified beautifully. The bottom pictures show you that that building is all but empty at this point. The second deficiency also was taken care of. That was the fire extinguisher. The third deficiency, unfortunately this one, you can see it in the top picture, that was what was there. It was not functional. Rather than making that functional or replacing it under an electric permit, which is what we told Becky was necessary, it was completely removed, and they didn't have a cap-off electrical permit to do that either. And then you can also see in that picture that string of shop lights along the back wall, the west wall. Those were previously connected to a beam. They were attached. The conduit was secured. And now, for some reason, that beam wasn't a structural beam. It was a beam probably for the lights. And it was, for some reason, removed, and now they're just kind of dangling there, which is not acceptable. That must be rectified. Under that same electrical permit would be fine, but before they can get that certificate of compliance vacant property. Again, this was for storage. Storage was removed. Looks great and empty inside. And I thought I had another closer-up picture for you of the lights, and I can pull one up if we need to look at it. But these are now.
Yeah, I can clearly see what's going on there.
Okay, what we're requesting today is that you find the property in violation with an order number 7 for being in violation of letter E. That you issue we're actually not going to ask for the no fine standing order. And that you impose fines of $150 per day if violation E is not corrected in 45 days or by May 3rd. We also ask administrative costs of $162.89 be assessed in that order number 7, and you can see the affidavit for that on page 5A-32.
Yes, I've looked at that. All right. Mr. Fernandez, do you have any questions of Ms. Herstein?
I have a question, Steve. We do a permit, a separate small permit just to fix what we need to fix. I know the permit costs $50 just to pull that one out. Is that correct?
Yeah, the permit cost is $47.50 and it would take an electrical permit.
How many days we can have to pull that permit and just fix whatever we need to fix, call the inspection for the city and final inspection and just close that case?
I'm recommending 45 days, which should be plenty of time to get that done, but that includes getting the final approved inspection.
Yeah, that's good. That's 45 days, I think is enough.
I think it's generous too. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve.
All right. Mr. Fernandez, what is your connection to the property? Looking over the documents, I don't see your name on it.
I'm the superintendent for the company. They make a renovation of the building hotels, and I work with that company from the last 5 years ago.
Okay.
I did receive an authorization form this morning. Unfortunately, we were able to help, David helped me get the site up, and we did see that the person who authorized him is the secretary of
The company.
basically the company.
Okay.
It's one step away. It's from the company that's the manager of the company. So one of the first lists of people that we can get to.
Okay. Thank you. Would you like to say anything, sir?
It's okay.
Is 45 days an adequate period of time to correct this violation? All right, in which case I'm going to General Order number 7, which gives you 45 days to correct the problem, or $125 per day attaches to the property, in order that you pay $162.89. Can you do that within 30 days?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. I do appreciate you being here.
Thanks.
All right. And then we have 5B, which I'm assuming you're also here for? All right. Which is case PCDEF 2020-80, 2323 South Atlantic Avenue, AD1 Daytona Hotels, LLC. Ms. Herstein?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city in the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate's notebook, which has also been provided to the respondent's representative, authorized representative, be accepted into evidence along with the slides in the PowerPoint presentation. And I'd like to ask that that also be true for the last case.
All right. Mr. Fernandez, any objection? Okay. Shall be so accepted into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. So this is a different property. It's somewhat across the street. It's basically down just a little bit and to the south of the one that we just saw, with the same owner.
And it's that entire white building?
Correct, without the brown building behind it. That's a condo.
Oh, okay, so it's only the one with the triangular shaped roof?
It's the triangular shaped roof. It's the, what kind of looks like a semicircle.
Oh, okay.
It's the little, the brown condo that you can see on the upper right-hand corner is a separate property.
All right, because I noticed that it exchanged hands at $8 million, so quite a bit more valuable than what we're usually seeing in here.
This property is currently undergoing a renovation.
All right.
Basically, it's currently closed. The renovations are underway, but slowly. This notice of violation is for 2 particular permits which expired without final inspections, leaving the work unpermitted, basically. In April of 2019, permit BP 2018-1692 was obtained for a custom-built tiki bar. The bar's there.
I was going to say, you never said whether or not it was actually constructed.
Bar's constructed, but the permit expired 6 months later without any inspections called for.
Okay.
And in June of 2019, BP 2019-0894 was obtained to repair the concrete walkway. One progress inspection was approved, noting that work had begun and was, in process. That was approved, but no others were called for. So that permit expired August 12th of 2020. These were turned over to the Code Enforcement Office for action in October 2020. I generated a notice of violation on October 9th. and sent that by certified mail. Good service was achieved for that mailing. The first permit's replacement app was received shortly thereafter, basically by the end of October, and it was readied for issuance, so that's great. Unfortunately, it was readied for issuance a few days later. We called the contractor, come and pick it up. Unfortunately, they haven't picked it up, so.
Since October?
Correct, and it's going to expire. Actually, if it hasn't expired, it's going to expire soon. I can't do the math that quickly today, sorry. The second permits contractor said that he wasn't being paid, so he wouldn't be following through until he was. And he, happily, he didn't start the job to stop it. He's a contractor who pulls permits in our city all the time. He didn't start it to stop it. He'd love to continue the job, but he's not going to do it if he's not going to get paid.
Okay.
I sent a statement of violation, request for hearing, and notice of hearing for today's meeting upon seeing that it had not moved forward in a meaningful way. And good service was achieved for that mailing. You can see the statement of violation, request for hearing, beginning on pages 5B13. We're requesting that you find the property is in violation with an order number 7 for violations A through C, and that you impose fines of $200 per day if violations are not corrected in 60 days, which is May 17th. And I will say, in a cautionary way, we hope this is not the case, but as things have stalled at times on the property, we may have more to bring you. I hope not. I hope that that was a temporary stall and that they can keep going, but things are not progressing quickly with the renovation.
All right. Mr. Fernandez, thank you. Mr. Fernandez, do you have any questions for Ms. Herstein?
Yes, I have a question for the first permit, that's the Tiki Bar. Can we just pull a new permit and ask for inspection and final inspection?
Mind coming up?
Would you mind coming to the podium with the mask on? It's really hard for me.
Sorry about that. For the first permit inspection that we have, that is for the Tiki Bar. Can we pull a new permit under the OCC construction and ask for inspection and final inspection for that Tiki Bar?
Yes, but we will need, we're probably going to need things other than just the permit application. Before, it was the same contractor who had submitted the original plans. Pulling the permit again, in this case, because it's a new contractor, yeah, absolutely you can is the answer, bottom line.
Yeah, but, yeah, exactly, that we can spoke to those last company to ask them the blueprints or whatever they just submitted to you and just submit everything with a new permit with us on
Let's
OCC
talk to the
construction.
building department about exactly what they can accept and what they can't, but yes, a new company can certainly pull it.
Okay. Yeah, but I know that, I think, Steve, if I'm not, correct me, do you need a blueprint that's gonna be hard for the hurricanes and all that stuff, right?
Yes, we will need a new blueprint.
How large is this structure?
It's a small tiki bar. Right? It's half of this furniture, really. It's
Okay.
not too big. It's just front ocean.
I understand. It's a shame you constructed it and they didn't finish
I'm
the
just
project.
I'm asking because I don't want to pull the permit and submit it, and then we need to just submit again the blueprints, all the calculation, all the stuff. That's what I'm asking. That's for the one.
Okay.
For the second one, that is the GC contractor that they make a corridor reconstruction concrete. Yes, we are having an issue with the payment. That issue is already solved. We're gonna try to get them the payment and call them again just to reopen and can call the inspection for that.
It's far expired, it will have to be pulled again, but they can certainly,
Yeah, they can just pull it up again and they have all the information. I think the city have all the blueprints and everything that what they did, and I know that company works here a long time ago.
All right. Is what the city's asking of you possible within 60 days?
I will say yes.
What, 90 days?
I prefer 90 days. Yes, sir.
Say yes, please.
Yes, please.
Okay. I can't give it to you if you don't ask.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to find you in violation, issue order number 7, give you 90 days to correct the stated problems, or $200 per day attaches to the property, or that you pay $149.09 administrative costs within 30 days. And you do all of that.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Fernandez.
Question, both permits are gonna be for the 90 days?
I gave you 45 days on one, on the first case. The second case, which is that piece of property there, I gave you 90 days.
All right, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah, I understood. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, gentlemen, why don't we, rather than guessing, you tell me what you're here for, and we'll take that up.
What's the next case?
Oh, is it the next case? Well, that's lucky. All right, so next case is C. Pappas Daughters LLC. Is that your gentleman? That's you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Case PCDEF 2020-94. Did you receive the documents from the city?
Yes.
Do you have any objection to the documents?
Well, I listened to this gentleman.
I got the lease on the place,
And
so when we first got the lease, I hope you feel better.
All right, wait. You're putting the cart before the horse. I understand where you're coming from. I've read all of this, okay? The question I've posed to you is, do you have any objection to me considering the documents that the city is asking to put into evidence? Okay, all right. You have, Ms. Herstein has laid out that there are no building permits for the drywall and framing work that was done on the unit, no plumbing permit for unit 2506 through 2508, and same thing again. So 2 units, no plumbing permit.
So we put in for the plumbing permit, and it was declined. We got a letter from Steve, right?
It was declined.
It was declined because of, I don't even know why it was
The
declined. because-
letter's in the packet, Your Honor. I can.
See, what happened was
do that
when
real
we
quick.
took over the place, we got the water turned on, right?
Right.
Shut off. Okay, when the city came and turned on the water, okay, the previous tenant cut all the pipes. So everything was cut. So when they turned the water on outside, all the water from the water heaters upstairs, everything came down into the bathroom. So that sheetrock got wet and we took it out.
Okay,
Bathroom, the place was trash, so the toilet
Imagine.
bowls couldn't even fix. So we just threw them out. In all honesty, I didn't know you had to get a permit just to do that. But we didn't do nothing structural, we didn't fix it, do anything. Everything was left. All we did was old graffitis on the wall, nasty stuff, and we just covered up with sheetrock over.
okay, so
We didn't actually take any sheetrock that had anything to do with firewalls or anything.
I understand, but sheetrock still has to be permitted.
I didn't know that, to be honest with you.
Okay,
Just to get the wet stuff right out of it.
this is not a capital offense, okay?
I didn't know.
What the city's interested in is making sure that it's done correctly because of several reasons, not the least of which, if we have to send a first responder in, we don't want things falling all over the place on top of them. And you applied for a plumbing permit, and why was that rejected?
This was rejected where he wanted a printout of everything done by an architect,
Okay,
which we were gonna do anyway, we had to do it.
sure,
And we just got it yesterday from David Lee,
okay.
approved, stamped, and we just gotta put everything together and forward to get the permits, start the work.
All right, well, it sounds like you gentlemen are well on your way.
Yeah, I mean, it
yeah,
just,
the architect called
he
him.
had problem with his wife, she had a lung taken out, so he was out for like almost a month and a half, 2 months. So it kept getting delayed. He had all the paper, everything we did. We got all the contractors for the plumbing, for the electrical, everything to do in there.
Well, great. How long do you think it'll take to fix this from here on in?
Spoke to her, I says, at least 2 months, because we're starting everything from scratch.
All right, how about this? I'll give you 3 months, okay? Because things always happen. Always happen. Nothing ever runs smoothly. And I don't want to, I can tell you guys are really earnest about this project. and I'd like to see this piece of property back in Commerce. So, Ms. Herstein, you're asking for a 7?
I am asking for a 7 with 162.89. I would not, please, Your Honor, like to move forward without getting Inspector Edmonds on the record as well.
Okay.
So before we finalize the request, I would appreciate being able to just get his
All right.
testimony on the record.
Mr. Edmonds, please come up, or if you want to, you can testify from there. I'm sure I can hear you with a microphone. Please, all right. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
All right. And what can you enlighten me about this property?
This property was basically, it was a pizza restaurant. The old tenant moved out. The new tenant, when he came in, I guess there were some problems, like you said, with water. They demoed all the drywall. Some of the drywall is fire-rated walls, so it has a certain type drywall that has to be put back on it. They also started remodeling the bathrooms. Unfortunately, in putting new doors in the bathrooms, that triggers an ADA compliance anytime you remodel a bathroom in a business. So that's why plans and stuff were needed when they submitted the plumbing permit. That's why it was rejected, because I have to have the ADA plans to show that we're meeting code.
Okay. All right.
Which is fair.
Also, they're gonna need to do the restaurant that was in there, even though it was a pizza restaurant, he had an electric oven, which was really small. It was non-commercial and stuff like that. All the new stuff that this gentleman is probably bringing in is actually real restaurants for pizza, so it's gonna have hood systems, all that stuff, which requires permits.
Yeah, we're gonna have the hood system, we got the gas coming in, it's gonna be gas, the Tico's are gonna be hooking it up, so it's gonna be nice.
Oh, good.
It's gonna be a really nice pizzeria.
Oh,
It's Carmine's Pizza Incorporated.
all right. Well, I really wish you luck.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's just been a long road, I mean, with getting the architectural done, getting some estimates done, it's like, with the COVID, it's just like pulling teeth with people down here.
Yeah, it can be.
Slowed down
Why do you
everything.
think I gave you an extra 30 days?
I pay the price. It's 9 months, no
Yeah.
income,
But,
Just,
well, I appreciate it. I mean, I try to clean up, just to do the right thing to get the wetness out of there so we don't start building up mold. That's why. And honestly, I didn't know you had to need permits for that. Otherwise, I would have. As soon as with the water, when the water came down, boom, we got the guy to get the permit.
This guy, he peeled the floor, he take all the wires out from the plugs to the ceiling, he trashed the place.
I'm very sorry.
We're full with stuff. I think there was stuff swimming in the water. We just had to throw them out. It was horrible.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to find a number 7, which means you're not in compliance. Order that you pay $162.89, or $162.89 within 30 days. Is that possible?
That's possible. I'll take it.
Okay, and then $200 per day attaches 90 days from now. So please get this done.
We will love it.
wanna
We're
start
so excited. I want to be open by Valentine's Day. That was my goal.
Well, unless you own a DeLorean, that's not going to happen.
But we got
So-
everything going.
Well, I hope you can get up and running by 4th of July.
I'm hoping, yeah, for the races and everything. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming to see me.
Appreciate it very
Thank you much. All right, and we'll take care of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't forget you.
All right. Do you need a minute? You feeling okay?
I say let's
Would it help
Steam ahead, sir.
if you sat there and held the mic in your hand?
No, I'm gonna grab my tissues to try to.
Okay, because, it's only us from here on in.
Ay, ay, ay. Totally fine, but the darn cough kicks in.
I get it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Which brings us to case letter D, Cynthia Glasser, 2555 South Atlantic Avenue, Unit 1601, Daytona Beach Shores. Code enforcement case PCDEF 2020-88.
Thank you, Your Honor. This. Yeah, easy for me to say. Stop work order was issued for this property June 10th of 2020 by Inspector Edmonds. You can see that stop work order on 5D5 for the
Right.
kitchen ceiling being opened with toilets and vanities having been removed from the bathrooms without permits. Within days, we received building and plumbing permit apps without an electrical permit application. The other apps were not issued into permits. The matter was forwarded to code enforcement for action. I've not heard from Ms. Glasser or any representative, unfortunately, in this case.
She's out of Colorado, isn't she? Yeah, Castle Rock, Colorado.
So the matter was forwarded for code enforcement action. December 10th, I sent a notice of violation. You can see that beginning on page 5D8. Good service was achieved. And with no further action or correspondence, I sent a statement of violation, request for hearing, and notice of hearing. Good service was also achieved for that mailing. We're asking that you find the property in violation within order number 7, that you give the respondent 60 days or until May 17th, or fines of $200 per day would begin, and that you impose administrative fees of $149.09. There's an affidavit for that on page 5D19. And you have, this is a screenshot, 5D20, demonstrating, those are the permit applications. Basically, that's all permitting for this particular unit in the last 8 years. And you can see that above the blue lines, we did get some permit applications in. Unfortunately, they didn't have everything that we needed to be able to review and issue them. So they languished and I believe at this point have expired, or yes, they have definitely expired, those applications.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry. I also, because Steve was the one who has been with the stop work order, would like to quickly call him forward or call him to his microphone.
Okay, I have a question for you
Sure.
before I allow Mr. Edmonds to testify. I'm really concerned that we're getting a bunch of these condos now that the residents have paid for work, and it seems less the residents' fault and more the contractor's fault. What kind of education does the city provide the building managers? Because I imagine when somebody gets a remodel done in their unit, they have to have a dumpster or something on premises, and the building manager should notice material going in and out.
I would say you're absolutely on point. We do provide a sheet long, and I can bring you a copy of it next time so that you have it for your records and can see what is available. We provided a long time ago, and again, to anyone who asks, and also give it to unit owners who have questions, with lists of everything, and it's a non-exhaustive list, but it's a huge list of everything that requires permits. And then we do the flip side. Basically, you can paint, you can change your flooring out, the things that you can do without permits, just so they understand that being in a multifamily residence is a little different in ways, okay, than being in a single-family residence. So there is a very accessible list that all of the managers have access to, have been given purposefully, and sometimes they ask for another one. I will tell you that condos from one end to the city to the other are very different condo by condo as to how those managers operate. There are certain condominiums where the manager and his or her staff act as as basically a gate, if you will, for people who are coming in to do work, and they don't let them in unless they have a permit. That's best case scenario. They're taking care of all of their unit owners by doing that, right? Making sure that the people below don't get stuck. And then there are the opposite end of that, which is managers who possibly, and I don't know why, I'd be speculating, but possibly they have been threatened that they won't be able to keep their job unless they just let people do work. Maybe they stopped the president from doing work at one point and he said, that's not your job. Don't get involved in that. I don't know, because there are plenty of condos where the manager just kind of does one of these and doesn't seem to care whether they have permits or not. And then there's everything in between. We lavish praise on managers who help us. There are other managers who are kind of skating in the middle, who don't want to get in trouble with their boards. They think they'll be fired, but they'll call and say, might want to check and see if Unit 302 has permits. And that is sometimes what causes us to come over that, or a neighbor saying, what's all that banging? They don't have any permits posted. So I'd say it's all over the place. We really lavish praise on the ones who are at the one end, and we try to instruct of the others and explain why it should be important to them, but we're not their boss, so. we can't
Okay,
tell them.
I was just curious because, you know, I noticed that Ms. Glasser lives in Castle Rock, Colorado.
Sure.
This will probably be discovered when it gets really expensive, and you kind of feel for somebody, but of course, you're also required to look out for your own property.
Well, and I would say too, every single conversation that I end up having with a situation like this is entirely different. Sometimes they knew that, you know, people hadn't done a great job, so they just stopped halfway through the job. Sometimes they were told it was done, they paid them, you know, like you just said. It can be across the board. Sometimes I've heard people say, I just didn't want anybody coming in my unit anymore. So I told them they couldn't have a final inspection. Well, unfortunately, that's happened on a number of phone calls that I've had. You know, you've gotta, there are ways that we can go about this, but you have to let us do that. So, yes, it's frustrating, but there's never one single reason that stands out more than others. Everybody's got their own story.
Thank you, I really appreciate you explaining that to me.
Thanks for letting me go on and on. I apologize.
No, I can't do my job if I don't know how you do yours. All right, Mr. Edmonds, what would you like to say about this case?
This is just basically, like I say, it was a kitchen, they were remodeling kitchens and bathrooms, and we got a complaint, I think, from a neighbor there on this one, and so when I went to investigate it, stopped in there, the contractor was in there working, the kitchen ceiling was open, and bathrooms were been dismantled at the time, so that's why we issued a stop work order on it.
And what I'm curious about is, that was back in June?
Yes.
And
the
so-
owner, you know, like I said, the owner signs an application, so they know it's, you know, they're well aware of what's going on, it seems like, but why they don't follow through with it,
It just seems odd that they would live it, maybe they haven't been back because of COVID, who knows?
And that's possible, like I say, COVID, they might have pretty much shut down for that or something, but, you know, if they would at least pick up the phone and contact us and let us know that's why they shut it down, we would probably, you know, forbade going to this hearing, but when we hear nothing and nobody's doing anything, then, you know, we have to move forward with it just to make sure that, you know, if somebody is in the unit, if the work's been finished and somebody's in the unit and it hasn't been done right, you know, we have to make sure all the firewalls and things like that have been put back in the proper order so it doesn't affect other residents of the condo.
Absolutely.
I would also like to add, Your Honor, that there are many, many, many of these that you never see because everybody follows through and does the right thing.
Oh, I imagine. All right, in case letter D, I'm going to issue order number 7, order that the condominium come in compliance within 60 days or $200 per day will attach, $149.09 administrative within 30 days. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And we have one final one, which is E, and that is property owner Suzanne Sloss, 3145 South Atlantic Avenue, Unit 305, Daytona Beach Shores, case number PCDEF 2020-89.
I'd like to ask that each of the documents provided by the city in the Code Enforcement Special Magistrate Notebook for this hearing be accepted into evidence as well as any slides in the PowerPoint.
Okay, hearing no objection because no one is here to represent the property, it'll be so received into evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. On May 22nd, 2019, mechanical permit 2019-0806 was obtained for an AC changeout. Without an inspection, the permit expired in November. It was reinstated by the contractor in December for 3 weeks, but no inspection was scheduled, so it expired again. December 2020, the matter was turned over to for code enforcement action. I sent a notice of violation December 11th, and the service was achieved. You can see that notice beginning on 5-10. Without further activity, a statement of violation request for hearing was sent, and the notice of hearing on February 25th. You can see that beginning 5E-14. Good service was also achieved on that mailing. Having heard nothing from the respondent, and I'd like to also call your attention to an email that we ended up receiving, part of an email thread where the contractor said, hey, I have to get this inspected, we've already reinstated it once, you know, we paid to have it done once, but you're not giving us access. So we're kind of at a loss, we need this access. We request that you find the property in violation with an order number 7. Give the respondent 45 days or until May 3rd to rectify, or fines of $100 per day will begin. And we request that you impose fees of $149.09 with an affidavit on page 5E-21.
$100 in, I'm sorry, I didn't hear how many days?
45 days, Your Honor.
45, all right. All right, hearing no objection and no other testimony, I'm going to issue an order number 7. In case letter E, order that the property be given 45 days to come into compliance, or $100 per day will attach, and that they pay $149.09 within 30 days. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Again, another condo. Okay. Seeing no more cases, the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 21st, 2021 at 9 a.m. And May's meeting is May 19th with a little paren. This meeting date may change. Why? I'm not angry, or I'm just curious why. I've never seen you do that before.
Because last meeting, Your Honor, you said that you might be going away with your wife.
Oh, I can't.
I'm sorry.
I had to cancel our trip to Jamaica for our anniversary.
Oh.
I'll tell you afterwards, but I can't. So May 19th is fine. Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I should keep track of my special requests. All right, everybody. Wow, this went remarkably quick for the amount of business we had. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I guess somebody from the city engineering department.